Back to the channel. Today I'm going to try to rebuild this DeWalt air nailer. There's the number D51822. I bought this in North Carolina from a Mexican man who said it was broken. He wanted $40. I told him it's broken, I'll give you $20. And he said okay. So I hooked it up to the air compressor, and it was blowing air out everywhere, which told me it's got to be some kind of O-ring. So I bought an O-ring kit. You can buy these, Amazon, eBay. I think it was right at $20 for this kit. So I'm going to go through here step by step and replace these rings. I might as well replace all the rings while I'm doing this, and hopefully I'll basically have a new, well, sort of new air nailer when I'm done. I may even see about sandblasting this paint off and repainting the thing. Here's what I'm going to do first. This apparently is just a muffler. The other screw is right there. It fell out. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to pull these perimeter screws out. Okay, I'm going to do that first, and then I will take this off, and I'll come back to the camera and turn it back on. That off very easily. I'm starting to get a little suspicious that perhaps somebody has tried to fix this before, because those were really not even finger tight. They were loose. So probably somebody got in here and, I don't know, maybe didn't have the right equipment or didn't know what to do. But anyway, the lid, as you can see, there's a bump here, so that only goes on one way, so there's no reason to mark anything. Now this right here, this whole thing just, well, you're watching it as I do it, just pulls right out with a spring. There's just a spring that was back like that. So I'm going to pull this, set this aside. This spring just pulls out of there. I'm just going to set it down. I'm sure it doesn't matter which way it goes in there. And there we go. Now this needs to be disassembled. I believe the culprit is probably down in here. So we'll get to that here in just a second. Okay, before I could even get started, I just tinkered with this, and this just pulls straight out as well. I don't know if anything I need to do down in there or not, but we will find out. Alright, I'll check this stuff out. I'll be right back with you. Okay, now going forward, just a word of caution. There is supposed to be a gasket between these two pieces. There is not one. So going forward, I'm not sure that this stuff is the way it is supposed to be. Somebody could have put it back together and it didn't work. So I'm going to try to sort all that out. But see, this could possibly be backwards. I don't know. But I do know I need to pull this O-ring out to allow this to slip off. So that's what I'm going to do next. Okay. Once I pulled that O-ring off, I was able to slide that off, and that's what we're looking at now. Okay, now when you take that O-ring off, use little tools like these are some dental tools. This is what I use to do it, because it's got a little flat tip that's bent. This is actually a beekeeping tool, but it works perfectly to pull that O-ring out of there without damaging it. It's over there. Then this slid off. Now this white piece here, this ring is separate from this. You see how this got a little cut in it? And you have to separate this apart enough to make it slip over this, but not so much as to break it. So I'm just going to put a screwdriver in here and gently, twist it, and hopefully separate this enough to give me just enough to get over here without breaking it. All right, it's there. When that's done, this pulls right off. I'm just going to set it over here. And look at what we got here. This is actually the culprit. I expected to be this. I can't imagine that's doing anything. See how gummy that is? I mean, I don't actually see a break in it. But that, I mean, just like barely touching it, you see? Look at that. I don't know that I've ever seen anything that bad. Alright, well, I'm going to take that off and lay out these O-rings in the pack, clean this off, and see what we're looking at. I opened up the gasket kit, and you get an idea what's in it. And they gave me an exploded, diagram, which, is of some help, I suppose. It would have been nice if these, some of these numbers we could have tracked them down, especially because I don't have that gasket. I can't even find it on eBay or anywhere for sale. So I'm going to have to try to perhaps just get gasket maker or cut my own. We'll see how well that works out. But as far as the O-ring that goes right here, that's all gummy looking, that would be that one right there. So we'll get started on all this. Okay, I've pretty much confirmed that this thing has been jacked up by somebody else. Remember how that spring was laying in there? That spring is actually supposed to fit on here. And this rubber boot that's here, I don't like how it looks. I don't think it belongs there. I think it's actually supposed to be out here. Checking this diagram, this just doesn't look right. So I'm going to pull this off because I know there's a channel under here. I could see that there's not an O-ring in. So I think they just tried to do something, put it back together wrong, and that's as far as they got. So let me see what I can figure out here. Okay, I pulled that boot that I thought was in the wrong place off and put an O-ring in the groove. There was not one in there, but clearly there should have been. So I replaced that one, and then I replaced that nasty gummy one with one that looks a lot better. I thought that this one here that I replaced would have, I assumed it would have been a white one too for some reason. There was another white one in the kit, but clearly it's that one. There's one right there, and that's the same size. So clearly that's where the white one goes. Of course, none of these O-rings are labeled, and some of them are mighty close to the same size. So hopefully that is the right way to go. We're going to continue like it is. What I've done here, you see I replaced this ring, which there wasn't a ring there. It just, somebody had put this down over it. You couldn't see it. This actually goes out here over the white thing. So what I'm going to do now, I went ahead and I replaced the two rings that were here. I'm this far in, I might as well replace them. So I'm going to put this back on here, and I'll show you as we go. Okay, see that slips on there. Now ideally what I would have done is put a little bit of dielectric grease on this O-ring that was down in here that that there wasn't one of before. But I'm not going to do that. I left a little bit of grease that was already on this there. I want to see if it works. If it works, I don't have any of that grease here. If it works, I'll turn around, disassemble this off camera, and grease it, and then put it back together. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to put this piece back on here, and then we're going to use this to go over it, and the spring is going to ride on here, push against that, and then we're going to put that cap back on. Okay, I mean, they didn't even have things in the right order. Anyway. Now when you reassemble it, you see I put this white piece back on, and then I slipped this rubber boot over it, spring over that, held this down with the big end in to make a nice little seat for the spring, and that's the way it looks assembled. And this part here will move. I don't know if I can do it one-handed, but it does move you know, up and down like it's supposed to. All right, now before I finish this off, I'm going to go ahead and replace that O-ring right here. Going to pop that on, replace that nasty looking one there, and then I'm going to reassemble this thing. Like I said before, I do not have a gasket for it, but I was trying to see if there might be a I don't know. May have to get some gasket maker. I won't be surprised if it leaks around there. But let's see. Let's reassemble this thing. On closer inspection, you know, there is a little rubber gasket there around. Now, I seriously doubt they intended me to make that, you know, with one of these. But I'm just going to leave it right where it's at. I'll clean some of the grime around it, but maybe I'll get lucky. We'll see. To put back together now, I'm going to go hook it up to some air and let's see if it actually works. Okay, here's what happens when we hook this thing up. Hear that? Clearly this thing has other issues besides just that. Where the air was coming out was through this exhaust port right here. It wasn't leaking from here or any of the other areas where it was coming out before. So I think I have that problem solved. But I believe this problem is this trigger is not acting right. You may not be able to see it, but it's not really pushing the piston. So what I think's happened is I think it's broken in the on position and it's just blowing the air out as if I had pulled the trigger. So I'm going to have to break this thing down to do that. That'll be in a different series of videos. So right now, hopefully what you saw will be helpful to you. Thank you. Hopefully give me a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, put them down below, and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Thanks a lot. Talk to you in the next one. Bye.